Are you also imagining what I am doing inside an aircraft like the reporter turns pilot? Well, not exactly. So I'm here at the KIDB Aerospace Park today at the curtain raiser of Saab's most recent collaboration with the Indian Air Force, which is the full-scale replica of the Gripen E. The Gripen E is not just like any other mundane aircraft. It has an AI component. Yes, you heard that right. So, without further ado, let's dive in and learn from the pilot himself as to how Gripen E operates. First things first, I wanted to ask you about your experience as a pilot. And I'm sure you must have had your own share of experiences and with different kinds of aircrafts. And how is Gripen E different from each of those?
Yeah. So my experience is almost 25 years in the Air Force. So I was a vegan driver, Gripen driver, like a fighter pilot frontline. I was also a test pilot for a number of years. So I've, in your question of different airplanes, I've been in training in the US, flown most of the Western, many of the Eastern fighters and trainers as well. So I would say that I have a good and broad knowledge about many of the fighters in the world today. The main difference between the Gripen E and many of the other fighters, I would say, is the how we built it to suit the pilot. So we have the pilots in the design phase of how we produce human-machine interaction. The sensor data that we have is just amazing. So the amount of data that we get with all the sensors, but also how we take the data, how we fuse it into this wide area display here in the Gripen E, the new wide area display, and develop the new level of decision support. So how we project information for the pilot. So now you will get a lot of support, like a new car, like a Tesla, that will solve many of the problems for you, that will help you to maintain your awareness. The Gripen E does it the same way, where other airplanes are not at the same level just yet. So traditionally, the pilot needs to make all those decisions, actions, and what to do, the tactics by themselves. But now you have a AI model in the human-machine collaboration in Gripen E that helps you to do all those things. So keeps your workload low, proposes what is the next best thing to do in a complex scenario. That's what I think is the biggest difference in terms of comparing fighter jets.
Right. So at the same time, I do notice that it is a complex set of machinery, and especially with AI coming into the picture, I'm sure it must be difficult in an intense situation such as a war or an airstrike, right? So how is Gripen E equipped to make that, uh, that decision within seconds?
Yeah, so that's a good one. So the AI element of equipment like fighter jets, because you need to have certain degree of predictability, because this is fighting real missiles. It can be a matter of life and death. But the way to do to make the life of the pilot easier is to try and filter out information, because there's so much information that you can present. But I, as a pilot, in every moment of the fight, I only want to see the information that is very important right now. So our concept is to try and filter out information that you don't need right now, where others, like American designs, they normally like to present a lot of information. Just looking at the head-up display of an F-16, it's cluttered with information. I personally think that it will take much longer time, a lot more flying hours, a lot more training to be efficient in an environment like that.
Right.
I believe that filtering out information, helping the pilot present what they need right then, right now, and leaving other things out is the solution to that.
Okay. So could you explain us the mechanism and what are okay in just 5 points? If you could just quickly elaborate on um, what separates Gripen E from the rest of the aircrafts that you have developed.
So the first one would be the sensor data, the amount of information that we get. So all the new sensors, the new most modern technology. This is the airplane that is the most modern. It flew first time in 2017, so it has all the new technology that supports the data gathering. That's the first one. The other one is how we use the sensor data in terms of producing electronic warfare. So we have a very wide spectrum electronic warfare where we can do detection, we can do electronic support, protection, and also electronic attack at even very low frequencies. This is one thing that distincts us, that gives us a better situation awareness, a better opportunity to fight. The third one is really what I just mentioned before, is how we present data for the pilot, how we filter out things that you don't need.
Right.
We present guidance for the pilot how to fly exactly to support missile engagement, how to fly to stay alive. So you don't have to think so much. You just follow the guidance in your head-up display or your tactile display. The fourth would be, I would say, the lethality that we have. So having the most advanced weapons, the Meteor missile with the long range, the very high no escape zone, but also how we network information between aeroplanes, so that we can support each other's missiles with data, which is a new way of fighting. And this is getting a little bit complex, but we find new networking functions that gives us an opportunity to fight the air battle in new ways, new flexible ways. The last one I would say is the reliability of the aircraft. So the fifth, where we have very high reliability. So if you have a fleet of 40 or 60 or 100 aircraft, you want to keep most of those airplanes flying every mission, every day, every month, always. We have very high proven availability in terms of mean time to faults, mean time to repair. We keep the aeroplanes flying very quickly with very short turnarounds, like 15 to 15 minutes between combat rearm refuel between flights. So you can actually have all these capabilities and use them every day, every mission, always when you want. So those would be the 5 very long answers to your question.
Okay. Could you talk about the specifications of how Gripen E is, or how in the long run it's gonna be compatible, and it's never gonna run out or
so
become outdated.
upgradability. Yeah. That's a great question as well. I didn't say that was one of the kind of the determining factors, but as how we've designed new avionics. So where normal avionics computers in any fighter of today, it's a fully systems integrated and everything is integrated. So if you want to change something, which most of the time you as an Air Force can't do because you have to always go to the aircraft design authority, then they will do all the changes. And if you change one thing in a highly integrated computer like that, then you have to verify that you didn't mess any of the other things up. And that takes time, it costs money, and you can't do it as an Air Force. It's done by the aircraft manufacturer. This is now changing with Gripen E, this aeroplane, where you have a partition in your systems computer, which is the tactical part. So you don't have to touch any of the airworthiness things. So you go into changing things on your display, you can change things on your radar, change things on your weapons, and you can have that capability in your Air Force to do it with your programmers in the future. And we will help you as an aircraft design authority, as Saab, to create that ability for India or any other Air Force. So that gives you the ability to, almost the analogy to an iPhone app or a Samsung app, where you can do those changes very quickly, affordably, and by yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So, as we got to know that Gripen E is turning out to be like the newest technology so far in defense. So, I wanted to speak to you about how big do you think this is for India, because we are witnessing many simultaneous military advancements as well. So, with regards to how India's defense forces are being shaped every day, how they are being developed, how do you think Gripen E adds to it?
You see, the thing is that Air Force has a requirement, and that requirement has been conveyed that in terms of numbers and other thing. And thereafter, what Air Force does is it lays down the operational requirements, technical requirements, so various requirements of maintainability, operability, operations capability. So lay down the requirements in terms of RFI, request for information, right? Based on those requirements which has been given to Saab, right? For a new fighter aircraft, we are convinced that we meet those operational requirements, and not only meet, in certain cases, in fact, while what you must listen about the networking capability and and the as a compact package, which is a modern requirement, and the avionics systems, which is I tend to believe that's the most advanced avionics system right now on any fighter aircraft. So based on that, and which is going into the future, that's the upgradability part of it. That's where we feel that, of course, the requirement is given by Air Force, and any aircraft which Air Force takes has to meet that. And we believe that Gripen is capable of meeting that, and in quite a certain aspect, capable of exceeding that.
Uh, how instrumental do you think Saab has been as an organization to India's Air Force requirements, the Indian Air Force requirements, and where do you think the developments with regards to Gripen E and much more in the near future is going to lead?
You see, Saab as it's a very big company from making from everything from submarine to fighter aircraft and most of the thing in between. So we have engagement within an army where we supply a weapon to an army. We have engagement in the navy where we supply underwater systems. I think for Air Force and army we have electronic warfare suite, which is presently on the ALH armed version aircraft, right, through aircraft. So Saab that way has a reasonable presence in India, and we are striving to increase our presence based on the what is required by the Indian Air Force, Indian Army, or Navy, Indian Armed Forces. And Gripen E or Gripen is a major part of our thrust, major part of our that approach to increase the presence in India, because we believe that this aircraft, in terms of requirement, operational requirement, and another thing is that like when you say the requirements with cost to to the nation, and to get that amount of what they call the bang for the buck. I think that's the biggest bang for the smallest buck.
Right. So I'm sure you have had a diverse range of experiences with different aircrafts, and um, so I wanted to know, like, how do you feel about the human AI collaboration that's happening here, and the interdependency that's there between these two elements?
You see, right now what is happening is that as you get more and more inputs, like in this aircraft, you are connected to the ground. You are connected to your own aircraft. You are connected to the airborne sensor, other aircraft sensor, and being a pilot, when you get so much of data in front of you, to make a decision in quick time is a difficult task. Flying from like I started flying in 1987, 86. Right from then to now, the transition has been exponential, and the way it is going, the amount of data which is coming to collaborate that and to make the sense out of it is the biggest challenge right now on the on-board aircraft. And for that, you need computing power. You need your algorithms. You need your things which can assist the pilot, project him in a picture. What are the best 2, 3 alternatives? It is not only about firing a weapon. After firing a weapon, how to go about it, right? Whether to fire the weapon or not. What is the potential danger? Distances wise, and sometimes your own sensor may not be the best one. Somebody who's closer to the target, maybe ground sensor or other sensor is the best one which gives information. So that information, it comes to you when it comes to your aircraft. The algorithm based on all those inputs should be able to decide what's the best course of action, and that requires what they call decision support system or the human machine collaboration. Earlier we used to call HMI, human machine interaction, right? So now collaboration, for which is artificial intelligence is required to make that decision for you, right? And of course, pilot remains the final. Trigger is still in the pilot's hand, still not in the automate. So you're projected to the scenarios where you can judge, given like you have given the filter of the whole situation, and thereafter you can decide 1, 2, 3. What's the option you need to decide. So increasingly, it is becoming a very complex task decision support system. To giving that. So which is Gripen E has a decision support system assisted by AI to make that decision for the pilot, and pilot to see that whether he wants to follow that decision or what he wants to do about it.
Saab's collaboration with the Indian Air Force. So, yeah. So first off, how do you come up with uh, something as new as Gripen E? And how do you feel about the human AI collaboration that's happening, and how compatible do you think pilots from the Indian Air Force are going to be with it?
Well, to start with, how we came up with Gripen E, obviously there is a long tradition at Saab and in Sweden to develop forefront fighters for the last 90 years. Always being on the forefront on technology and breaking new. And I think that what the biggest step in that respect is probably with the Gripen E, which is the platform for the future, which has this ability to rapidly embrace and make use of the developments in AI and also computational sort of quantum computational power and that other technologies that are emerging as we speak. And put that rapidly into operational effect. And what we are delivering is not only the platform as such, we're also delivering a production capability to indigenous platform that to produce the platform, to indigenously maintenance, repair, and overhaul here. But most and foremost, I would like to emphasize that we're also going to put up a design capability with all the development methods, tools, and processes here in India to be able to functionally upgrade the platform. So and a lot of these aspects are software defined, where these capabilities would uses computational power. So and that has to be done very tight with the user, and the end user, I think, is very mature and capable of making use of these capabilities. Indian Air Force obviously would like to have the platform that can be adapted to the tactics, the specific tactics. An Air Force does not want to have to adapt the tactics and way of operating to how the aircraft is designed. It would like to adapt it how you would like, in order also to develop rapidly its tactics and operational capabilities to be sort of unpredictable to the opponents and rapidly developing new capabilities. And that is what really differs this platform to other, that we have that capacity to I can go through sort of the technical background of separating hardware or flight critical and tactical functions, but I won't do that. But on top of that the platform is adapted to be upgraded on a daily rather than a yearly basis. We are also providing the capability to do that in India. So the Air Force has a control of the path and pace of the development of this platform going forward.
Right. So you did talk about the production aspects without going into much detail about the technicalities that were covered in the presentation. I would like you to talk to, throw a new light on the amount of research that has gone into creating something as big as the Gripen E.
Yeah.
Even though the Gripen has been a part of, I'm pretty sure, not only the Indian Air Force but multiple defense forces. How do you think Gripen E was developed, and could you just talk about all the effort that went into creating something as big as that?
Well, obviously it's a huge effort, but we worked jointly together with the end user, but also academia and government. So industry, academia, and government, and including the user, what we call in the story a triple helix model, and that's been the model for all. If you look back through the history of the Swedish and Saab's way of designing aircraft, it's not only an industrial; it's also working tightly with the user. But obviously, it's a huge effort. But we have inherently a very good sort of a design tradition, and always challenging ourselves and finding new ways and disruptive ways. If you look at all the platform before, it's been new technology, new disruptive. And one thing that is not only what it can do in the air, is also how it's operated. It's designed from the start to be operated from dispersed row bases with extremely low need for logistic footprint, and being rapidly turned around and being able. So it's very all these aspects that created that makes it also very high availability. We use as a ballpark figure is that we can produce twice the number of airborne fighter or airtime or availability at half the cost. Because inherently in that aspect is not only the availability, that also brings a high maintainability, very robust and reliable platform that never fails, which needs few people, low and also easy to maintain, makes it also very cost efficient. And if looking at it from a life cycle cost perspective. So all of these are examples of forward-looking thinking and be very bold and very creative and innovative when it comes to finding new solutions to problems. I'm very proud of what my colleagues and engineering and in our company has done, together with our partners, I would say.
So, what do you think, the future holds for Gripen E?
I think it's a very bright future. It's the most advanced aircraft with technologies no one else can offer. Together with that, we're also offering a willingness and ability to transfer technology program, which is probably the biggest one in the history of military aviation, and we can do that in a rapid way. With rapid deliveries and in high numbers and a rapid ramp up of the capacity and also the delivery program.
That would be all from us.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.